Chapter number 4. The Mughal Empire. The Mughals established a huge empire. They were good administrators, brave warriors, and left a political legacy that keeps them alive till date. Many sources of medieval history prove that the royal Mughal emperors were truly interested in keeping the records of their achievements and other aspects of their reigns. Autobiographies such as Babarnama and Jahangirnama are examples of such efforts. The first 6 Mughals are called the Great Mughals. Babar, 1526 to 1530. Babar was the first Mughal emperor. He was born in a small place called Farghana in Central Asia. It was at the tender age of 12 years that he became the ruler of Farghana in 1491. Babur tried to conquer Samarkand but failed. In 1504, he conquered Kabul. When Babur was ruling Farghana in Central Asia, at the same time the Lodhis were ruling over the Delhi Sultanate. The local rulers were not happy with the Lodhis. As a result, they sent a message to Babur to come to India and defeat the Lodhis. More than the invitation, it was the wealth and richness of Hindustan that lured Babur to plan an expedition to India. The First Battle of Panipat. In 1526, Babur faced Ibrahim Lodi in the First Battle of Panipat. The Lodi army was huge when compared to that of Babur's, but Babur had a good cavalry, which had fought many wars, and an efficient artillery. Without much difficulty, Babur defeated Ibrahim Lodi. He successfully conquered Delhi and Agra. The Battle of Khanwa. The following years in 1527, the Battle of Khanwa took place. Babur fought this battle with Rana Sanga of Mewar. Babur easily defeated his opponent. 2 years later, he also defeated the Afghan chiefs at Ghagra. In a short span of 4 years, Babur conquered a number of territories that extended from Himalayas to Gwalior and from Indus to Bihar. With these conquests, Babur's position was secured in northern India. He died in 1530. Wonderful to know, Zahiruddin Babur was a learned man who could speak 3 languages: Persian, Turkish, and Arabic. Memoirs like Tuzuk-e-Babari and Babarnama give us a lot of information about Babur's personality, his reign, and the kingdom he ruled. Humayun, 1530 to 1540, 1555 to 15. The eldest son of Babur, Nasiruddin Muhammad Humayun, succeeded him in 1530. Humayun had 3 brothers, Kamran, Hindal, and Askari. The name Humayun means lucky, but in reality his life was full of problems. As a ruler, he faced a lot of disturbances. He was left alone because he did not get actual support of his brothers, who were unhappy with the small areas under them. Humayun's tumultuous life can be divided into 3 phases. The first phase, 1530 to 1540, was a time of struggle and stress. He faced a tough struggle against Sher Shah Suri of Bihar and Bahadur Shah of Gujarat. In 1532, Humayun and Sher Shah fought a battle for the first time. Humayun won and captured the fort of Chunar. In 1534, Humayun captured Gujarat and Malwa after defeating Bahadur Shah. But Humayun had no time to consolidate his empire. Sher Shah again attacked Humayun and defeated him in the Battle of Chausa and Kannauj. In the second phase, 1540 to 1545, the Afghan king Sher Shah Suri annexed his empire. Sher Shah drove Humayun out of his kingdom. Humayun became a refugee and escaped to Persia. He spent the next 15 years in exile. It was during this time that Sher Shah Suri and his successors reigned supreme in India. It was in the third phase, that is, from 1545 to 1555, that Humayun made Kabul his base. Here he made preparations to recover the lost territories in India. Sher Shah had died and his successors were weak. Finally, 1555 to 1556, Humayun was successful and got back the throne of Delhi. But as luck would have it, it did not survive long after this. It so happened that he fell down from the stairs of his library, Sher Mandal, and died in 1556. Sher Shah Suri, 1540 to 1545. Sher Shah Suri was the most famous ruler of the Sur dynasty. Sher Shah was the son of an Afghan Jagirdar from Jaunpur in Uttar Pradesh. The real name of Sher Shah was Farid Khan. He was given the title of Sher after he killed a tiger. Sher Shah was an ambitious ruler. Although Sher Shah was a fine ruler with an exemplary qualities, but the Sur dynasty does not survive for long. Achievements. Sher Shah became the Sultan of Delhi after defeating Humayun in 2 battles. In a short period of 5 years, he built a strong kingdom. His empire extended from Jhelum to Brahmaputra and Himalayas to Narmada. Known for his excellent administrative skills, Sher Shah also improved the administration of his territories. Sher Shah had a large standing army. He continued with Alauddin's practice of branding the horses. Welfare measures. Sher Shah is remembered for his concern and welfare of his subjects. Abbas Sherwani wrote the history of Sher Shah in 1579. He observed that a philanthropist at heart, Sher Shah was generous. He gave specific orders that anyone in the need of food should be fed at the king's kitchen. He constructed an excellent network of roads in his empire. Grand Trunk Road, that is GT Road, was one such highway constructed and was called Sadak-e-Azam or Highway. It starts from Sonagarh in Bengal and then passes through Lahore in Punjab and ends at Multan. The second road is connected to Multan via Lahore. The third road links Agra to Jodhpur and Chittor. Trade and commerce flourished as the interests of the merchants were taken care of. Sher Shah reduced custom duties. He introduced a new coin called the Rupiah. It remained a standard coin for centuries. Sher Shah was also known for providing an impartial judicial system. The 2 most exotic examples of architecture of the Surs are the Purana Qila, that is Old Fort in Delhi, and the tomb of Sher Shah at Sasaram in Bihar. After his death, he was succeeded by Islam Shah. Humayun defeated Islam Shah and thus ended the Sur dynasty. Akbar the Great, 1556 to 1605. Jalaluddin Muhammad Akbar was born in Amarkot at the time when his father Humayun was in exile. With Humayun's sudden death in 1556, Akbar was made king when he was just 13. He was the greatest ruler of the Mughal dynasty. He brought glory to the Mughal Empire and is therefore known as Akbar the Great. Bahram Khan became the regent or guardian of young Akbar. As soon as Akbar assumed power, he defeated Himu, that is, general of Afghan forces, in the Second Battle of Panipat. In 1560, Akbar ended the regency of Bahram Khan. Akbar took over the reins of his kingdom and followed the policies of conquests and alliances to consolidate his kingdom. Akbar's major military campaigns. Akbar made a plan of expansion and set out on campaigns. 1561, Malwa was conquered. 1564, Gondwana was conquered. 1568, Chittor and Ranthambore was annexed. Rana Uday Singh lost the fort of Chittor. 1570, Gujarat, Bengal and Odisha was conquered. 1576, Akbar fought the Battle of Haldi Ghati with Rana Pratap, son of Rana Uday Singh of Mewar. He also brought Berar, Khandesh and parts of Ahmednagar under his control. 1581–98, Kashmir, Sindh, Kandahar and Kabul were conquered. This gave way to closer trade relations with Central Asia and Persia and made northwestern frontiers secure. Akbar's policies. Akbarnama informs us about Akbar's rule and his policies which helped him to control the empire. Wonderful to know, the history of Akbar's rule was written by Abul Fazl. Akbar commissioned him to write his historical account, Akbarnama. Abul Fazl successfully wrote the history in 3 volumes. The first and second volumes describe the lineage and the main events in the reign of Akbar the Great. The third volume is called Ain-e-Akbari. It gives a detailed account of the Mughal administration, household, revenues, army, etc. Rajput policy. Akbar realized very early that a tolerant approach was a must to rule over Hindustan. For this, he took several measures. Akbar was a compassionate emperor. Even after defeating the Rajput kings, he did not insult or humiliate them. He treated them with dignity and respect. He found that Rajput warriors were brave and loyal. He allowed the Rajput rulers to rule over their territories even after they were defeated in war. These rulers helped Akbar by commanding their army or supplying contingents during a war. Akbar got into matrimonial alliances with Rajputs. In January 1562, Akbar met Raja Bharmal or Bihari Mal, the ruler of Amber. Akbar's marriage to his eldest daughter Harkha Bai secured him the powerful support of Amber throughout his reign. Akbar was a tolerant and sensitive emperor who allowed his Hindu wives to enjoy complete religious freedom. Many Rajputs were given high posts in Akbar's administration, as they were trustworthy and sincere. Raja Bhagwan Das and Raja Man Singh were his most trusted officials. Despite all these policies, some Rajput states like Ranthambore and Jodhpur refused to submit to Akbar. Religious policy. Wisdom does not come with education alone. This stands true in Akbar's case, who followed a wise and tolerant religious policy. His palace was a hub of celebrations on Eid as well as Hindu festivals. His secular attitude was followed by the subjects too, who did not harbor feelings of hatred. Akbar treated people of all religious faiths and all classes of society equally. In 1570, at Fatehpur Sikri, Akbar started discussions on religion with the ulemas, Brahmanas, Jesuit priests who were Roman Catholics and Zoroastrians. These discussions took place in Ibadat Khana, which was a hall of worship. Discussions centered around issues involving different religions and various social customs prevalent in those times. He consistently followed the principle of universal peace, that is, Sulh-e-Kul. In 1562, Akbar abolished the pilgrim tax on bathing at holy places like Banaras and Prayag. In 1564, Akbar abolished the poll tax of jizya, which was paid by non-Muslims. Akbar abolished the earlier practice of converting prisoners of war to Islam. Akbar celebrated all festivals like Deepavali, Raksha Bandhan and Basant Panchami. Akbar allowed buildings of temples and also gave grants to numerous Hindu temples. Akbar got the holy books of the Hindus like Ramayana and Mahabharata translated into Persian. Akbar invited the priests of major religions like Hindu Pandits, Jain Munis, Buddhist monks and Christian missionaries for discussion. Akbar was open-minded and always ready to take the best from all religions. Tawheed-e-Ilahi of Akbar was also called Deen-e-Ilahi. After listening and interacting with people of different religions for many years, Akbar came to a conclusion that all religions preached the message of peace, respect and love. Akbar felt that the common ideals of all religions could be combined to form a new religious path which would be secular with a mix of preachings of all religions. In 1582, Akbar introduced a new religious path called Tawheed-e-Ilahi or Divine Faith. It was not a new religion. Ain-e-Akbari, written by Abul Fazl, gave detailed information about Tawheed-e-Ilahi. According to his writings, Tawheed-e-Ilahi was a very simple religious path. Through Tawheed-e-Ilahi, Akbar introduced the teachings of all faiths in a single realm. For example, Tawheed-e-Ilahi discouraged the killing of